influence others positively? Well, generally, very simply, but we're not even asking for, really, really high performing, really super good employees. No, we're not even doing that. Positive attitude means when you have problems, when you come up with problems, you find ways of solving the problems. 积极态度是什么？遇到困难你会想办法解决，叫积极态度。It's called a can-do attitude. Right? When there are things that are difficult, you find ways to either work around, solve the problem, or at least you try to find a solution. It doesn't mean that you won't always have a solution, but you try. 明白吗？你能够解决这些问题，但我不会就是尽努力的想办法来解决问题。That's positive attitude. That's all we ask for. And of course, negative attitude, 消极态度. Negative attitude is when you have problems, you just tell people you have problems. And you keep on complaining about the problems. 遇到问题就到处在抱怨。Right? That's negative attitude. So this is a simple way of looking at positive and negative. So if you have someone who's very skilled here, but has got an attitude that whenever there's a problem, complains about it, talks about it, but does not take any action to try to solve it, that's not really the kind of attitude that one as a manager. Right? After all, when you are manager, you have certain levels of authority, of influence, of power, that you can do a little bit more than just normal employees. Right? You're a manager. Right? So there are certain things that you can push forward and not just complain about it, whine about it. Right? So that's the thing about the attitude part. Two, it's about aptitude, 学习能力. Because being a doer and being a manager are two different jobs. So when you become a manager, you need to relearn a lot of things. So you need to learn how to manage people. You need to, more often than that these days, it's not about managing your people. It's about managing your relationships with other department managers. Right? There's a lot, when you're a manager, you come into a lot of work that requires coordination with people not from your department. You need to work with others. Right? You also need to learn how to manage your boss's expectations. Right? So these are some of the things you need to learn on the job. You need to learn that in the past you only think about what is good for you, what are your own personal targets and KPIs. Right now you got to learn about what is good for the company. I mean, I need to cover my own KPIs, but at the same time I need to know what is good for the company too. I need to balance both. Right? So that's something you need to keep on learning. And again, there are people who are so good over here that they stop learning. Right? There are people like that, and they just feel that, okay, I know everything, and I stop learning. 就这边做得太好了，能力太强了，以至于后面就不愿意学习了。Okay, but we are in a new environment. You need to learn. The market changes all the time. 这个工作环境一直在改变，市场在改变，世界在改变。你必须就会有这个需要这个学习这个能力。You need train to learn to adapt, right? Then also related to that is about versatility. Can you adapt to different situations? 你的适应能力 right? So especially when it's when company is going through a state of transition, right? These days, companies, at least from the sales aspect, two things that happen. 从销售的角度，很多企业会发生两件事情。One is we find that, especially for foreign companies, we find that there's a move, there's a shift from selling through distributors to selling direct. 以前嘛，很多的外资企业都是通过经销渠道，现在越来越多就是自己来做直销。Right? That's a shift. Number two, there's also from, instead of just providing products, selling products, now you need to provide solutions. 以前是卖产品单品，你要什么设备卖给你，现在是我要一个方案，解决问题的方案这基础。Right, so this is a shift. And what these two things mean for non-sales people is that, if you sell to distributors, if you're in supply chain, things are easy because distributors will have their own safety stocks, they'll stock up everything. So even if your supply chain is a bit late, it doesn't really matter. 你经销商嘛，它本来就有这库存，你如果供货不及时，没问题，它有库存。 Now you're selling to direct customers and you're in charge of supply chain. The customers do not have safety stock. You cannot be late. So that it poses challenge in different front. When you're doing solutions and not selling products, being a technical person, you need to see customers. You're selling products, you don't care about customers. You're selling solutions. As a technical person, you need to see customers. Like nothing to do with sales, but as a technical person, you need to do that. When there are different kinds of customers' demand, the whole organization, even all the way to finance or HR, you need to adapt to different customer situation. 就算这些东西不一定是直接面对销售人员的一些工作，你哪怕是后勤人员，它会影响工作，你还是需要做一个适应。You need to adapt. It's how you, how versatile do you have the right role fit, you have the right culture fit, and so on. These are things we do for hiring, and it can be used for internal promotion as well. We are also suggesting that, no, we are suggesting from our research, from our surveys, we found that the reason why people leave their jobs, get fired, are not performing well with their jobs, is not because of this reason. 一般员工如果在他的岗位做得不好，跟他的合作度关联很少。一般情况都是可数。Most poor performance on the job, a lot of times it's the suitability. They are not suitable for this job. They have the skills, they have the track record, but in terms of the right attitude, learning ability, versatility, they are not there, and that's why they fail. Right. So these are some and the ratio, depending on which report you're looking at, the ratio is failure because of suitability on the job is as high as around 81%. So different reports will have different figures. The ones that we have is about 81%. So 80%的人如果说这个岗位做不好，就是表现不好，很多时候是合适度问题，不是合格度问题，不是技能问题。That's part of the thing that we look into. Now the other part about giving direct feedback, why you need to get GMs to act fast, act quick, and this is the reason. The moment you have a dysfunctional manager, 87% of your people want to change jobs. This is based on research. Right? You have someone with a bad attitude, and the bad attitude person is a manager. The people around him, 87% of the time, they want to change jobs. It's a matter of whether they can find a good job. Right? If they can find a good job, they go. If they can't, they still stay for the time being. That's why you get low morale, low productivity. Now, when people want to leave, they absolutely want to leave. Do you retain them or do you let them go? 如果有人要走，真的要走，你是要挽留他们，还是让他们走？ People really want to leave a job. Do you make them stay? I said, don't go to work. I give you 20% increment. 你别走，我给你多两成的工资。Or do you let them go?
Let them go.
Why?
强扭的瓜不甜。
You can't force love, right? So the other reason also is that the people who really want to go but don't go usually has got very low productivity. They are not really committed on a job. Right? For whatever reasons, personal reasons, they don't like the job, they don't like you, whatever. If they really, absolutely want to go, you let them go. I mean, if it's just considering, oh, I got better offers, but I don't really want to go. Yes, those are the situations that you can ask them to stay. But if it's on the other hand, when they absolutely really want to go, you let them go. Because you really make them stay, they are not going to be very focused on the job. There's no point, right? So it's better that people will come and join the company, people will leave. The Chinese saying is that there is no banquet that lasts forever. 天下无不散之宴席. Right? So people will leave, right? So we don't ask for people who stay with us forever. Right? Even in marriages today, it seldom lasts forever, unfortunately. right? So, for employee relationship, usually people don't stay with one company for the rest of their lives, right? So we don't ask them to stick with you forever. We just ask to say that if you want to join, be happy. If you want to leave, we part happy. Right? 我们不求那个什么，不求一生一世，只求好聚好散。
曾经有一个
好聚好散。
CJ, but it's important to ask, why is it that they want to leave?
Yeah, sure. We want to do. That's a different topic about exit interviews and find out people why they want to leave, and maybe they leave because they got a dysfunctional manager, right? It also helps you to make the case to the GM. If let's say the GM is not the dysfunctional manager, someone else is, right? And there's a lot of complaints about this manager. This manager is making life and work and a lot of things difficult for everybody else. And the GM says, oh, but this manager has been with us for so many years. This person has been very loyal. The performance has been pretty much okay. I really don't find a real reason why I should change that person or fire that person. That's when you need to build some facts and statistics. Right? People who leave. What are some of the exit interviews? Can you do exit interviews that are more in-depth? Because when you ask people when they are about to leave, you ask them, why are you leaving? Normally, what is the reasons that they give?
personal reason.
Personal reasons. Right? I live far away. The best part, the interesting part that we've heard about is, oh, my uncle just had a business, and I'm going to help my uncle in the business. 我叔叔开了店，我叔叔做了生意，我要去帮忙。Right? 我做少东西。Right? I'm be the junior boss. Right? So those are things. So if this is an answer you get, and you know from based on past experience, you know from gut feel, 你直觉跟你说 this is not the real reason. What can you do? You ask more. Right? So yeah, there's this 我们说万能通万能膏药 the universal question. You ask this question called what else? 为什么你觉得哦，我叔要开做生意，我去帮他，哦，是吗？哦，很好很好。还有吗？还有其他理由吗 ？Anything else? Right? You can also probe in deeper. Okay, what about with the work relationships with your teammates? What about work pressure, targets? Right? You can go on different reasons and then talk about the manager later. Right? What are the attitudes of the manager? So these are things that you can actually build up a more question rather than just one question. Why are you leaving? You ask more questions on the exit interviews and get more responses from people who are leaving. Okay, so that's some of the things to build your case, and then you can show to the GM. Because of this manager, we have lost a number of people. And the kinds of people that we lose, look at their performance. They have been great, and then they leave. Right? What is the cost to the company? Right? For the purpose of making one person stay, you are sacrificing a lot of good people who left. Is it worthwhile? Okay, so that's eventually it's going to be a business decision. It's not about personal loyalty. It's not about personal 关系。有些时候不是说个人的一个情感，有些时候还是一种客观的一个商务的一个决策。Right? Is what will be good for the business. Right? So 87% want to change jobs if you have dysfunctional managers, and 93% have their productivity decrease. These two are related. People who want to live who are there, their productivity is going to be bad, right, generally. Right. So, why attitude matters? This is another study. 46% of new hires will fail within 18 months, but only 11% will fail for the lack of technical skills. So just now, I made a mistake. It's not 81%. It's 89%. The reason people fail on a job is not 89% of the time is not to do with technical skills. It's to do with the soft skills. That's 89%. So this is another reason. So this is about attitude. Now the question is, why are we afraid to tackle bad attitude, especially when it's bad attitude from a manager, when you have a dysfunctional manager? that person has got good productivity, good output, good contribution. 这个人的业绩本来就不错的 right? And they are good. Not only they are good to you, they appear good to the boss's boss. 这他那个什么业绩好，他不止对你来看这个业绩好，他的这表现在你老板的这眼里也觉得蛮好。Right? So the issues about things like claiming credit, being defensive, pretend to know when you don't, these are issues that normally the senior managers are not aware of. It's got low visibility. 这些事情就一般那个高管没有意识到，看不到 ，right? And 我们说像政治资本this isn't political capital. This is not the national politics. This is office politics. People in the office look at the performance and say, well, in terms of hard data, hard performance, it looks good. Right? So they don't want. It's got a history of good reviews. It's some of the reasons why we don't tackle energy, but why we need. Again, it's morale and retention of high potentials. It goes back to the same thing. The best people will leave. And when you have the best people leaving, the company is going to go downhill. There'll be low productivity and wasted time. There will be breakdowns in communication, breakdowns in operations, and so on. So this is some of the things that we need to be aware of. Okay. Now, having said this, these are the things that we didn't mention on the PowerPoint. What if your boss, your direct boss, is dysfunctional? So far we've been discussing that this manager is not your boss, it's someone else, right? And it's from a different department, and we'll see how to really tackle that situation. But what if it is your boss who is dysfunctional? 问题是老板。The first thing, if it's your boss, the first thing you're going to consider. Do you need money? As in, do you really absolutely need to keep this job? That's the first thing to consider, right? Because it's going to be, we're not saying that it's impossible, but it's going to be tough. So the first key thing is, do you really need money? If you really need money, then we'll have other alternatives. If you don't really need money, you can always choose a better career. Now, how do you know that, Gloria is asking, how do you know the next job you will not have a dysfunctional manager as your boss? 你怎么知道你为了逃避一个变态的经理，换了一份工作，结果下一份工作的老板也是变态经理。Oh, this is from the kettle to hot water, right? So, what can you do to prevent that? A few things. Number one, when you are supposed to get a job interview, there's this thing called LinkedIn. LinkedIn. Go network with the people in the company, to look for people, and ask for other people's opinion of that particular manager. Whoever it's going to be, whichever department, who's likely to be the manager, you can do a reference check. I mean, reference checks is not just employer finds reference check for employee. Employee can also find reference check for employer. I mean, what is this boss like? I mean, one thing is the company. People join the company because of the company. The company usually is going to be a good company. 你加入那个公司，通常都是好的企业。What about boss?
Five channel. 同名。
同名 ，OK 啊、yeah.
But I think if you find some people in the LinkedIn, in your next company, the person give you the real answer.
Sure. You need to spend some time getting to know them. You also don't want to start with how is this person as a manager. You probably start with things like how is the environment in your company. because I have an interview with the company. If you don't mind, just want to ask a few questions. What's the environment like? And then you try to zoom into that manager. So that's one way. The more direct way is during the interview. Usually, the interviewer will ask you, "Do you have any questions?" 就是你在面试的时候，总有人这个面试官会问你，你有什么问题要问我吗？ Right, so you can ask them, okay, so who will I be, if I get this job, who will I be working under? That's the question. How is that person like as a manager? How would you describe that person's management style? What are some of the feedback you usually hear from the team members? So this is something that's more direct and can, of course you expect the interviewer to be more indirect. If it's really, really bad, the interviewer is still going to say, "Oh, that is a horrible manager." It's the 10th time we are trying to hire for that same position. You're the 10th candidate. The last 9 months left in the last 9 months, right? So they're not going to tell you the full story, but they're going to say they're going to be indirect. It's just a matter of how you capture the kind of sentiment, right? 他们可能说话肯定会比较婉转，那我们是不是能够捕捉到他的一些心态？ Right? So that's. Efficiency, if do you need money? Okay, now let's say you need money. You need to keep that job. So, number 2. Lay low, 低调. Just if it's a direct boss, and then you know that this person is going to be defensive. So you know it may be out of good intentions, you want to what I call give positive suggestions. But if you give positive suggestions, that person is going to be defensive and it's going to blow up on you. So you might as well lay low. Now, doesn't mean you lay low forever and do nothing. No. The next thing is. You want to give a suggestion, give it through some third party. There may be some other people that this dysfunctional boss, no matter how dysfunctional, may still listen to someone else. Who are the inner circle? Who are the people close to this dysfunctional manager? So you may want to approach them and see if you can actually give a suggestion through them. Knowing for sure that if it works, your boss is going to claim credit. Right? So that's something that you will know. 就是说你间接的，就是要提意见嘛，你找就是这个电台经理边上的那些他比较信任的一些，就是他的一些哥们儿，不一定是哥们儿，但你通过他们来提一些建议，但是你提这个建议的这前提是什么？如果成的话，这个点子肯定是老板，是老板定的成。Right? If it works, the boss is going to claim credit. This is in a way not really a suggestion, but it's just something as a guideline to show. Avoid mistakes. It's hard to really avoid mistakes, but we can always say that as much as possible, check, double check, and triple check your work, make sure that there are no mistakes. Because when something would go wrong, the boss will choose someone to blame. And who will the boss choose? Well, someone who just made a mistake. Right? Number 2 is the boss trying to show that they know a lot when they know really little. They just go for some really, really minor mistakes and try to make a big deal out of it. 这有些就我们说吹毛求疵的一些表象。So the best thing to do is see if there's any way you can do to avoid any mistakes. It's hard to do that. It's just something to be aware of, that any mistakes might be used by the dysfunctional boss for a really dysfunctional reason. 这个变态老板会用一个变态理由来抓你的小辫子。Okay, so that's just some of things if you happen to report to dysfunctional 老板, right? And having said that, before we go to the Q&A, this is the QR code. You can see the QR code at the back of the brochure. 那个册子的后面。And you can use WeChat to scan it. 你可以微信扫描一下 and key in the words. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
There are 3 versions, and just for the fun of it, you scan it, add in, and then key in. The easiest one is of course 1, 1, 2, 3. And because we're talking about this function, then option number 2 is you can key in the word this function. No, just longer. But if you know Chinese, you can also key in the word.
Actually,
Yes,
sorry, 变态 is it psychopath?
perfect.
Also psychopath.
But
Yeah.
that's why we 变态 打引号. It's not really perfect. It's not like sexually perverted. But we get the gist that the bosses really they make all the wrong moves and wrong decisions, alienate people, and yeah, make unnecessary mistakes. Questions? 疑问？需要我们这边帮忙支招？公司里面有怎么样？
拍马屁这个好看
啊？
拍马屁，
关键是你愿不愿意拍？
有技巧。
Okay, one thing is it's to say you have dysfunctional boss. Of course, you can deal with the boss by giving flattery. Definitely, it's a good way. 拍马屁那最好。But again, are you willing to do that? 你愿不愿意这么做？ Right? We're not going to give the suggestion that you should give flattery, 拍马屁. If you want to do that, sure. But not everybody likes that.
I think at the beginning you can do that. And after you get your boss trust, then you can give some feedback in some special way.
Sure.
Yes, then you can get those things done. It's also some kind of skill.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, then there are 2 ways. One is that you give flattery, you gain the trust, and then after that you can give the real suggestions later on. That's one possibility. The unfortunate thing is that usually what happens is you give the flattery, you gain the trust, and after that you find that whatever suggestions you give are not being taken. 你前面马屁白做的，除了你在这个公司里面混的日子会比较好一点，其他都白做。
I think you can combine different ways. One is just like 拍马屁 first, then give you
Sure.
speech. Another is find a person. Maybe you cannot influence your boss directly, but
Sure.
you can find someone.
Yeah.
He very just yes, let's just like
You
this.
don't have to deal.
Influence other people, then the boss trust.
Yes.
Then influence him
Yes.
together.
Yes.
And I think for avoid mistakes is also get some trust of the boss.
Yeah, I mean, well, in a way, this is more like protecting yourself. The other thing is the reason of laying low is that there's no point trying to go into a conflict with this boss because you may get all the blame and eventually you may get yourself fired. Right? So if you really need this job, then you don't want to get yourself fired. Right? If you don't need this job, you can always find the next job. Right? So that is why. So you want to lay low is the reason is you want to avoid any direct conflict. So that's 避使，能避就避掉。Right? So because you need a job, right? So that's about laying low. Or it also depends on how long you need this job. Right? So some people need this job until Chinese New Year and get the bonus and get out. Right? So it really depends. So we're not saying that. 说就反正如果你真的需要这个工作的话，就看你那个什么，你是不是能够避一避，退一步海阔天空，避使风平浪静。我有什么事都能通过第三方。
Do you think all these 4 points are good attitude? Because
我
what
觉
I
得我们可以
see,
说中文了。
我是觉得就是这4点的话， 觉那个 attitude 上面是不是就是要比较 negative 一点？比如你说 lay low，
低调，不是那个低调，
低调就低调，然后
不要
尽量不犯
直
错，
接去，
然后
不要去直接 challenge 这个变态。
对，然后就是
对，避免面对面冲突，对你来说没有一点帮忙，对公司来说也没有一点帮忙。
其实 CJ 这边写的，它是一个就是你的 how to survive，
明哲自保。
how to survive under 变态。
how to survive 这个话就表示这个老板就不变态了吗？就是还是
没有哦，
你
因为是你的老板，你没办法改变你的老板。
而且
这个人
辞职的同时，你就只能这样做，这样才可以确保你在这样一个变态的手底下日子好过一点。That's it。
是。
所以的话，
就是怎么样 survive。
对，你没办法改变你的老板。你如果这个经理是你的评级，你刚才提到就是说你评级嘛，你可以有不同的 justification 跟老板说这事情不行，而且你还可以再找其他人的经理同样的一些反馈，说这真的是，这太掉链子。
还有一个建议就是找到他的痛点，就是一般性他在公司里，如果说，因为老板他如果能存活下去，他总有跟他合作的人，可以合作的人。
是。
还有一种就是他不能合作，基本上都会调走嘛，会调到别的地方去嘛。
是。
他待不了超过1年，基本上。那么如果说这种人待不了1年的话，你就低调嘛。他自动会走嘛。如果他能待得长，你找到他的同频人。
是。
那么一种是通过那个人来沟通。
是。
另外一种就是你找到他痛点，因为那个人能跟他沟通，一定有点嘛。你可以去找那个点跟他去，让他依赖你啊，或怎么样。
关键是变态老板，很多时候还特别能待。
对。
我可以继续我刚刚的问题吗？对，我可能是聊另外一个话题，不但是这个话题，还是我们刚刚那个我们公司的那个。
对，跟我那个。行。
关了。
关了，这盖着好。